Hello there, my fellow myth and fantasy nerds. My name is Tanner, and I'd like to welcome you back to my YouTube channel. Whew, it is getting real warm and humid here in Pennsylvania, so I guess summer is on its way. Frickin' finally. So when I was trying to find a good story to tell you guys this week, something I discovered is that a lot of the ancient Greco-Roman stories, specifically the ones classified as cautionary tales, all tend to have the same message of don't mess with the gods or there'll be Hades to pay. One such cautionary tale is about the hunter Actaeon, who will be the subject of this week's retelling. Although the message of don't mess with the gods is a little bit looser here, as a lot of versions of this story, including this retelling, simply have Actaeon be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Now, like with all my myth and legend retellings, linked to the playlist up on the cards and in the description down below, I will be keeping the story as close to the original story as possible, while taking some creative liberties when and where necessary. Also remember, a good story has many retellings and variations, and this is merely one of them. So as always, please make sure to leave a like on this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe down below. Pretty please! It'll help me make more content for you. And without further ado, here is the story of Actaeon. Long, long ago in ancient Greece, there lived a young man named Actaeon. Actaeon was a hunter, raised and trained by the wise old centaur Chiron. As a hunter, he was devoted to Artemis, goddess of the hunt, and he made sure to dedicate all his best kills to her. When Actaeon wasn't training to be a better hunter and warrior with Chiron, he and his pack of 50 hunting dogs would track down, hunt, and kill some of the most dangerous monsters known to mankind at the time. One night, exhausted after a very successful hunt, Actaeon decided to rest in the nearby woods. After what seemed like only a minute, but might have been at least an hour, Actaeon woke up to the sounds of splashing and laughter. He got up from his resting place and followed the sounds, doing his best to keep himself as quiet as possible, like he would on any other hunt. Soon enough, Actaeon found himself staring at a small grotto, with a waterfall tumbling down into a lagoon at the bottom. On the opposite side of the waterfall, the lagoon drained into a small stream, which wound its way out the entrance to the grotto. There, laughing and splashing about, were several maidens bathing in the lagoon, completely in the buff. Actaeon's eyes fell on one of the maidens in particular, with silvery blonde hair, wearing nothing but a small circlet on her head. He never saw the maiden so close before, but he knew her face from seeing statues of her at the nearby temples. The maiden was Artemis herself, and the girls accompanying her must have been her huntresses. Now, Artemis was one of the three virgin goddesses, alongside her aunt Hestia, goddess of the hearth, and her half-sister Athena, goddess of wisdom and strategy in battle. Her huntresses swore loyalty to Artemis, to be virgins forever, and shun love and romance in all its forms in order to join the hunt. So Actaeon, realizing how much trouble he would be in if Artemis found out he was there, he wisely decided to try to sneak back the way he came. However, as he took a step back, he heard a small snap as his foot stepped on a small twig. Apparently, Artemis and her huntresses heard this too, for they immediately turned around to the source of the noise and saw Actaeon frozen, looking like a deer in headlights. All the huntresses started running away, screaming and trying to cover themselves as best as possible, but Artemis simply stood there, staring at Actaeon. "Who are you?" she demanded furiously. Actaeon tried to speak, but his voice and mouth wouldn't work. He swallowed and then said, "Actaeon, my lady." Artemis stared at him. "How did you find this place?" "Please, my lady, I heard your laughter in the woods, and I simply wanted to know where it came from. Had I known this was your private grotto, I would never have approached." Artemis narrowed her eyes suspiciously, but she sensed Actaeon was telling the truth. "Well, Actaeon, unfortunately you have looked upon me naked, and no male can commit such a sacrilege without punishment." She scooped up a handful of water from the lagoon and splashed Actaeon with it, saying, "You shall never speak of our meeting to anyone. You were one of my best followers, but now the hunter becomes the hunted." As soon as the water touched Actaeon, he was racked with searing pain. His back bent and stretched, tearing his clothes to pieces. His legs and arms lengthened and narrowed, his fingers and toes fusing together into four cloven hooves, and from his head there grew two large and heavy antlers. Actaeon had become a stag. At that moment Actaeon heard the sudden baying of 50 hunting dogs, and knowing what was next, immediately bolted into the woods, his dogs giving chase, until Actaeon could run no longer. After the 50 dogs had torn their prey into pieces, they sniffed all over the woods for their long-lost master. When they couldn't find him, they made their way back to Chiron's place of residence. The wise centaur saw, from the blood on their muzzles to the torn pieces of Actaeon's clothing in their teeth, that his former pupil had met his end. Feeling bad for the dogs, who seemed distraught that they couldn't find their former master, Chiron crafted an Actaeon statue and covered it in his old clothes, so that the dogs would never know that their master would never come home. And there we have it. That was the story of Actaeon. Rather grim ending, huh? If you liked this video and you want more, please consider leaving a like and subscribing down below so you don't miss any new content from me. Also, if you have any other ideas you want to see in any future videos, please leave your suggestions in the comments down below. Who knows? It might just happen. Alright, well, that's all the time I have for this video, so I'll see you all next week with some brand new content for ya. See you guys then.